All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to ControlTalk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending August 9th, 2015. My name is Eric Stromquist, and I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, how's it going, buddy?
Eric, thank you for letting me come back on the show again. Everything's going great. I love it.
What are you talking about? You come back on the show, man. This is your show, dude.
Well, the way you introduce it, it's like I do. I feel like going into the ring, the ding. But no, I'm doing great. We had amazingly good weather, so Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is 85 and sunny, and it's just we're finally getting that glorious summers of yore. You know, we got older. When I was younger, we played baseball, football all day, and it never rained, swimming every day. And then the last few summers have been atrocious. They've been awful. Last year, I believe we only had 2 days over 90 degrees. So this year, we've had almost every day's over 90. So you know what that's like being young. It makes you feel like going outside and doing something. So.
No, well, it does, man. And anything that makes us feel young again is great. And listen, nobody took us up on the offer, so we'll put it out again this week. Kenny and I both are going to turn a certain age in 2016. If you correctly guess the age in comments, you will win 2 tickets to the ControlTrends Awards, the 2015 ControlTrends Awards in Orlando, Florida. At the Hard Rock Live, you will get to see the man, the myth, the legend in person. But, hey, look, you know what? So I will say this, if you guess young, if you're not sure, younger is better than guessing older. But so, Kenny, we'll look for comments. Whoever guesses the age you and I will be turning in 2016. So good stuff.
Well, all family members and relatives are not eligible for this promotion. You have to be.
My wife thinks I'm 38, so I've been lying to her about my age forever. So she has no idea, man. No. Well, idea. I'll tell you, if she had any idea how old I was, man, I tell you what, it'd probably be all over between us, man. What can I say? Hey, Kenny, listen, man, I am really pumped up. We have our man, 7 Minutes of Control, Rob Allen, back in the studio today for another episode. Our listeners remember he was on a couple of weeks ago, did a fantastic job. So without further ado, Kenny, let's bring Mr. Rob Allen on. Rob, welcome back to the show, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me back. Man, life has changed drastically for me since I was on a couple of weeks ago. I feel for the Kardashian people. I can understand now what their life is like. I mean, the paparazzi follow me everywhere. I've never kissed so many boobs and signed so many babies. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But, man, I just tell you, it's just good stuff.
Yeah, well, Rob, it's funny because our people are wanting to know if your butt is really your butt or if you've had a butt implant, I like Kim Kardashian.
Well, hey, Eric, what I'm really glad to see Rob there because I think it's a great growth to the ControlTrends community and our ability to cover more events. Rob is a very talented, smart guy that really knows controls. I mean, he's come up through the ranks, and when he goes somewhere, I mean, he really brings the ControlTrends flag with him and does a great job. So, Rob, thank you very much for being on the show and helping us promote and deliver ControlTrends.
Oh, thank you guys, man. I just I enjoy it. It's been good stuff. I get to meet so many people and so many minds, and I feel like a great big sponge trying to suck it up, carry all cocktails. It's good stuff.
Well, I think that's indicative of how many great people we have in our industry. I mean, now they're putting some life into the industry and giving it some color and some personality. When you go to places, the dryness seems to be effacing and going away, and we're seeing the real people that are great, competent, intelligent, successful people. Every organization has their all-star team, and when you put it all together, we're going to have a great awards ceremony coming up because all these people get a chance to be identified and recognized. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric.
No problem at all. I agree, and I think it's really nice. As you guys know, we've been really promoting, trying to attract youth back into our industry, along with Ken Sinclair and some others. And I tell you what, it's great to have Rob working because we get that younger perspective, which is really, really cool. And so, Kenny, there are a couple of things that Rob does in addition to 7 Minutes in Controls. He does something for our integrators here called, Tech Tuesday. Rob, I'll let you tell him about it. But I don't think you heard about this yet, Kenny, but this is so cool. So, Rob, give us a breakdown of what you're doing for your local integrators here.
So I've been about 2 months now doing Tuesday Talk. Comes out every Tuesday afternoon, and send it to my local contractors, integrators. And I always do a product spotlight, so one new product featured each week. And then talk about ControlTalk NOW a whole lot, different things on ControlTrends, industry news, that kind of stuff. And you try and keep it brief again, me, trying to 7 minutes of control, that kind of stuff, but 10, 15 minutes, and it's just kind of a weekly rundown. And I found out that it was really beneficial because a new product will come out or something like that. I've got 100 customers. It takes time to go see all of those guys. I can, weed out really quickly who's interested, not interested, and I get an email back, say, "Hey Rob, come here, do a full demo for me in person." And
what a great idea! Wow,
it's great.
No, I think it is great, and Rob sends us out. And what's so cool about it, Kenny, if you really think about it, it's kind of what we do on ControlTrends on a bigger level. But Rob is really, dealing this right down to his integrators, his customer base. So think about the fact that once a week they know that Rob can give them an update. It's archivable. Right, so that if they don't have to watch it on Tuesday. They can watch it on the weekend or whatever. But it's very germane to what's happening in our markets in Georgia and Florida, the training classes we have coming up and things like that. So again, this is something Rob came up with on his own. I mean, I wish I could say this is my idea, but it wasn't. I wish I could say 7 Minutes in Controls was my idea, but it wasn't. I told Robbie you need to go at least 2 hours, but he goes, "No, man, if you can't say it in 7 minutes, it shouldn't be said." So we have artistic differences in that regard. But
well, I like how you say that you don't have anything to do with it, because I clearly remember for about 6 months straight going, "You better do something, and you're going to do something, so you better figure out what it is." So maybe I figured out on my own what it was going to be, but you told me something, and you showed me the light. It's fun. It's good stuff.
Well, Eric, you remember that social media thing we did about? It's almost 2 years in the archives. Talk about archives. Remember, the social media was the number one trend that we were focused on, and how we had a couple of shows. But we actually had 4 or 5 really potent social media people on ControlTalk Now, and we had the marketing managers from at least 4 or 5 companies. And I tell you what we're seeing now, what Rob's doing is actually the maturation of that social media that is actually done so well. It's actually becoming part of the corporate dialogue, the corporate culture. What a great way to disseminate products. I tell you, you talked about Controls Group North America looking for ways to really engage all the distributors, and from the distributors' points to all their customers, out into their market areas. What a better way to do it than have one person like Rob do that, and then we dispatch that. Or make that accessible to everybody else.
No, absolutely. Then you got, it's sort of indicative too. You got people like Jenny Graves. Hi, Jenny Graves, marketing director at Tridium. And she's all over Twitter and stuff like that. So I think you're seeing it. I think the challenge with social media, and Rob, I'll get your comment on this too, is that, there's so many different ways to go about it now. Because what's cool and hip now, people are using Instagram, stuff like that. I think, Kenny, what we found works real well is LinkedIn. I think is obviously sort of the default for business. But I know Rob and I were fooling around. There was this cool new technology called Periscope. And I'll let Rob talk about that. But and we've been playing with that a little bit. Rob played with it a little bit, and it's not quite there. But tell them a little bit about Periscope, Rob.
Periscope's cool. I think they're actually owned by Twitter. Twitter bought
I think they are, yep.
And so it's pretty neat. You kind of set it up with your Twitter account, and you can live stream anything. Funny, I hope I don't get arrested for this since this is worldwide and I'm telling on myself, but I found out about Periscope by the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight, and instead of paying the $50, you could just go and have somebody stream it for you or whatever. And so I watched a couple rounds of that, but we actually used it at a VFD class that we were doing. Had Tim Chambly out. Hey, Tim. And he did a great job for us, and we actually were attempting to stream it.
Yep.
What we learned is that a 4G connection can quickly turn into a 3G connection and then worse, and that's what kind of got the best of us.
Well, not only that, you can only because I was actually streaming it on ControlTrends for a little bit, but not only that, it's only in portrait mode. You can't do landscape mode, so it's a very narrow picture. But once they get those worked out, Rob and I were thinking, and Kenny were thinking that something like that, we can maybe even Periscope the ControlTrends Award. So I think that's coming. I think, we've sort of gone from, regular phones where you talk to somebody on the phone to cell phones to emails to
video message.
Instant message to tweeting. And now it seems like we're going to have the ability to just absolutely, be video and everything. And Kenny and I, and I'll get your take on this, Rob, because Kenny and I, for a while, have really been pushing like Google Glasses, and we saw this being a way that you could really leverage your technical stuff. Like we could have a guy like our Mike Bonner could be in the office. You and I could be out in the field on different jobs with our Google Glasses, sort of streaming what we're seeing, and he could help with the troubleshooting. And Kenny found a couple of videos where they're using that in the oil industry. But it's interesting. It seems like I think Google Glasses might have gotten completely away from those, Kenny. I think they might have, they might be done, and there are other people that will do it. But I want to get your perspective, because Anna's brother Ari lives out in L.A., California. Just a cool guy, hipster. I always ask him about the trends as well. He is saying, dude, if anybody walks and he says, I asked him about Google Glasses, he goes, the only people that wear those in California are guys your age. and he says, you see a guy like you walk into a coffee shop with the Google Glasses on. I mean, we're all running for the hills because it's creepy. We don't know whether you're recording us or not. I mean, what's your take on the Google Glasses concept?
It's intriguing to me to wear them. I think it'd be neat, and I'd want to test it out, check it out. Always good for a good gadget. But yeah, I can get that perspective that somebody walks in, you're kind of wondering what they're doing with them, whatever, and you got these glasses on your head with no frame or no lenses in them, and it's kind of whatever. But as far as tech support and stuff like that, I mean, goodness, that could be excellent. Yeah,
guys, I'm one of the posts we have coming up is called Awe, and it's the augmented reality World Show, and it's in this year. It's going to be Augmented World Expo. Awe has partnered with AR in China, China's largest. It's augmented reality. Guys, you have no idea how big this structure, this infrastructure of augmented reality. Google Glasses took a nosedive, probably because it was one of the advanced, it was the early leader and developer, and how that's a rough road to travel. I mean, you're really trying to hit big, and they probably came this close. But the first reaction was with senators from different countries, different states. West Virginia, they outlawed Google Glass immediately. They didn't want people on the roads driving. So the first serve of Google Glass and augmented reality didn't hit inside the sweet spot, but in the industries, it's rocketing. It's the arrows are pointing straight up, and I'm looking at some graphs because the rest of the world has found applications. Police forces around the world, Argentina, wherever in South America, they're all wearing Google Glasses. The police officers are wearing some sort of an augmented reality camera, but they need information. The vital exchange of information in the medical worlds, the industrial worlds, tech support worlds, it's phenomenal. So while everybody's saying what they did was decide to take it off that front burner, get out of the media's, the radar, the media, the negative media, and now they're moving silently but steadily. There's going to be some point in time we're going to intersect back with a newer version of Google Glass, a cleaner, more sophisticated, probably more friendly, probably less has some of those like the negative things where people can see you got Google Glass on and say, look at this. Especially if you go around locker rooms. I mean, remember when this is the other day a young kid didn't even know any better, but you have swimming time, right? Summertime, get a call from mom to pick him up or whatever, and everybody freaked out because here's this youngster inside of an area with a telephone, with an iPhone, and remember back, you couldn't even bring iPhones into locker rooms. Remember when it first came out? One of our club signs said, this is a policy of our organization, our club. You can't come in here with any smart devices that have cameras in them. Please leave them at the. They actually tried to get you to check your phones. I mean, we're going back 8 years ago, or maybe not that much, but it's a while ago. So you see how we're going through cycles and maturity cycles, and people get used to things. But I think we're not even close to understanding how important this connected thing is with the concept of Google Glass, less the Google.
Absolutely. So, Kenny, how do I turn these things on, man? I can't get them to work. Where do I hook up the cord?
Well, it's wireless. Eric, remember
okay.
we saw Dave
Borzini, man.
He gave him to Ed Marwin at that the Realcomm IBCOM show, and Ed Marwin put him on, and they have a little device to tap into him, and I mean, you're right. It takes a while to get used to it. You get dizzy. A lot of people suffered vertigo when they first put them on because their pupils and everything, their whole nervous system wasn't their sensory system was not prepared for such an immense sensory shock.
Well, what was just funny is that Eric put those things on and then all of a sudden looked at me, and I think he had forgot that I was in the room, and then he put his glasses on and saw that I was here.
Well, I didn't mean to run away on a train.
No, but you know, it's
one of our posts.
No, it's cool, and I want to get when we get to that, we'll talk more about it. But we were researching for a while because there are other companies that have stepped up with from the Google Glass thing. I still think that's viable. I mean, as a distributor, I would love to be able to sell some sort of smart glasses to our contractors. And Dave Lorenzini, if you're listening, Google, if you're listening, anybody's making those smart glasses, if you're listening, send me, Kenny, and Rob a pair. We'll wear them on the show. We have, I think, in our market, the HVAC, the service market, the building automation controls market, the flame safeguard market, I think going through distributors on that product would be a great way to make all that happen. So I'm still down with them, Kenny. If I can get some, I'll wear them.
Well, like I say, one of the posts we have is the events calendar, and one of the new ones that popped up on the screen was the AWE meeting, in Asia, but they have the speakers and exhibitors. When you see the exhibitor list, then you know how much money is being invested, and they're taking a quiet route to the going around the negative media, and they're making inroads to industries, particularly the medical industries, financial industries. I mean, it's impressive. So we have to just kind of keep abreast of it and see how it's going to come into our industry. So we can, like the wearable technology and IoT companies, there's over 100 of them at this show. So you'll probably recognize some of them, and some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Well, see, one day we're not going to drive. Okay, one of the big criticism was that you didn't want people driving a vehicle with glasses on that could distract and disturb them. It's a fact that the brain only can handle one thing at a time. So if you're driving down the road, talk on the phone. And I didn't say that.
And then it's debatable whether you can handle multiple things or, well, I won't go there, but go ahead. But Kenny, you're talking about that. Remember the guy we heard at Realcomm Ivacon, what was the speaker's name? Or maybe it was Rob, the guy we heard, and he was talking about the speaker. He was talking about the biggest thing that was going to change buildings and building automation controls was the car that drives itself. He said it was going to change everything because now your commercial real estate people are not going to have the parking lots. That's one of the biggest things that eats up space for them because they'll have the smart cars. They'll just pull in and pick them up when it's time to come and go. So he said that was going to have the biggest impact on cities. Forget that guy's name, Rob. Do you remember it? Terry?
I remember it, but it reminds me of
the guy. I'll find it. Yeah, but what he said was it was going to free up real estate. I mean, Los Angeles. Imagine, you've got 6 lanes of traffic and it's all, wasted. You could use 3 if they were used efficiently. It just increases the city of Los Angeles. Half of it is used for parking and entrance ways and exit ways to roadways.
Well, cool, but I keep remembering, and then we'll get down to business. But you guys ever seen that show, Silicon Valley? Have you ever seen that show, Kenny?
Yeah, I love it.
And you remember the one where the guy sent his smart car to pick him up and
then takes him down the island? Yeah,
rerouting.
puts him in the container and ships him off to the guy's private island. It was good stuff.
Oh, that was priceless. I think I couldn't get enough of that, and then the show disappeared for a while. It came back on HBO now, and. But well, the reason why is it's a lot of it's based on some actual information that how those .comers went from being living in the house, 8 guys, just brilliant as all could be, but poor as church mice, and all of a sudden, boom, they were billionaires.
Yeah, somebody's gonna do that to your Tesla, Eric. You're just gonna be driving on the road one day.
Well, listen, you're joking, but hey, Kenny, Fred Gordy, we talked about hacking the Ford Explorer last week or the week before, how they hacked into it and took control of it. But they hacked a Tesla this week, didn't they, Kenny?
I didn't see that one, but I saw it. I'm afraid I've been guilty of watching a lot of YouTube videos on hacking in support of some of the posts we have today and some of the posts we made on ControlTrends, and you just don't know where to start. They've hacked everything. We had one where they hacked one of those weapons. There was a rifle, that capable of long range firing. They could actually change the sight alignment and the target acquisition. Hacked into it. So imagine, just anything that's connected has pivot points and vulnerability points. And we're going to talk about BACnet and some of the ones germane to our industry that everybody needs to get aware of immediately and do their share and become part of the human patching that Fred Gordy says that, everybody needs to get updated. And the first step is awareness. Just understand just how vast this is. And, just everybody takes small measures, small bites, then we can, bring things under relative control, but we'll never stop it. So it's it's a new industry. It's a new eye-opening, awareness that we're going to have to take, whether it's insurance, whether it's retrieval, whether it's after the fact that it happened, but the idea is to prevent it from happening. They say there's 4 Ds. You want to deter something. You're not going to stop crime, and you're not going to stop cyber terrorism or cyber hacking, but you can send it somewhere else because we're going to pick softer targets. So you deter it, and then you detect it. Right now, we don't detect things. 240 days is not good detection. You've been hacked, and then all of a sudden, you realize things are going south. So you want to detect it, then you want to delay. You want security in depth, so you don't give the whole ship away in one stroke, and then detain. You want to catch people if at all possible, that they leave audit trails, and these experts like Billy Rios and those guys, they can come back in after the fact and kind of find out what happened, but we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, we do, Kenny. Well, listen, we kind of have some really good posts on Control Trends this week. What do we have up first here, big dog?
Well, the first one was TridiumTalk Niagara 4, tagging and templating in the launch of the Niagara community. And you mentioned Jenny Graves, and this is an awesome transition of sites, a major upgrade. But a lot of people in the Niagara community have been getting emails saying the new Niagara 4 is coming out. It's an exciting event. But the Niagara community, we talk about social media, we're talking about the relationship and the contact, the pivot points, so that people in the community can reach and get better access to Niagara community information. So presenting the latest in addition to our TridiumTalk series, join Tridium and Niagara 4 for a demo of key features of Niagara 4 and learn more about the new Niagara community website. The website is really, really sharp looking, very, very unique, and a major departure from the color schemes, and actually it changed the Tridium logo. So Niagara 4 tagging and templating, how to quickly integrate devices, make data readily available. Those are familiar themes. Data, where we talk about big data, we talk about data aggregation, we talk about visualization and dashboards, and then energy and the ability to find the knowledge in your system. Well, a lot of that now is going to be incorporated into the Niagara 4. So they have 3 seminars, to make a long story short here, and we have quick connects to the Thursday, August 13th, Thursday, August 20th, and Wednesday, August 26th to the webinars about Niagara 4 and about the Niagara community, the changes. So we invite everybody to go to Control Trends, hit on those sites, and get yourself updated.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Rob, what are your integrators? Are they all looking forward to Niagara 4 coming out? What are you hearing on the street?
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to it, and I am too. I think that one of the really good things that's going to come of this is that the technology that they're putting in there that you get, whether you want it or not, is technology that I think that a lot of integrators are having a hard time grasping and going out and doing themselves. And so it's put in front of you right there and do it. You're going to have no other choice but to grasp it and to start working with it. And I think that tagging and better analytics is something that's definitely something we need to focus on and we need to do. I think it's going to be in here, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I tell you what, it is going to be great, Rob. And we had Kenny, we had the privilege. Big Poppy came through town the other night, Ted Houck from Hepta Systems. And so special shout out to Ted and Jason and the whole team at Hepta. Man, these guys are impressive.
The guy off of Breaking Bad. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, well, this is what he did after the show. Gotcha. Little known fact, Ted Houck is actually a body double for the guy that plays the cop on Breaking Bad. But I tell you what a Rob, impressive guy. The stuff he was saying about tagging, and boy, did he give a great endorsement to Haystack and how that's being used, and some of the stuff they're doing. They're using this in data centers now. They're doing some revolutionary stuff with it. They're working with Jason Briggs, and Scott mentioned those guys, and writing some stuff. It was like an avalanche of how this technology, Kenny and Rob, is being taken to a whole new level. So heptasystems.com, check them out. Jason Houck was a young gun with you, Rob, and his dad, a.k.a. Big Poppy, bright guys.
Yeah, he was unintentionally making me feel really dumb. The stuff that he was talking about was at such a high level, and I was so intrigued, and I could just sit there and listen to him for such a long time, and the really interesting guy on a personal level as well too. Canadian.
Well, a Canadian that moved to the U.S., and we got to have dinner with him and his wife. Great folks. So hopefully he's on the beach down in Florida someplace, taking the sun in. But I have a feeling this guy, his idea of a vacation is working on the beach with his laptop and everything. I don't think he takes much time off.
It was interesting. He was saying that, it wasn't too long ago, he was 5 or 6 people. Is all that he was, and he just grew his business really quick and very successful. He's how many million square feet did he say he's done in Detroit? 2 million square feet.
I tell you what, a bunch. So so good stuff. But all right, Kenny. Well, listen.
Well, I think just let me chime in there real quick about Big Poppy. Is that he's a very personable guy, but he makes it all look easy. But they've got a profound staff of accomplished people, and I think what's really we talked about collaboration. We talked about no single entity can bring success and progress run faster than a group as fast as a group of people that collaborate and share resources on top of resources. You get that exponential kind of boost each time, and what they are willing to do. And I don't think I've seen a business model from him yet, but I know they're that interested in keeping themselves busy, but also upgrading everybody else's potential. We're seeing people that can't really go to the next level because they can't take on that overhead staff. They cannot afford and keep a staff engineer busy. They don't have tremendous accessibility for the graphics and the doing the aggregation of data and doing the evaluation of it. So what they do is they can come in, they can do that last mile stuff. They can really and truly take a project from being almost a great project and make it a great project, and they do it in I think a very cost effective way. And they don't want to take your business; they want to do what they do best. They have that sweet spot, a great overhead staff, and then they'll get you to the next level. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think our business has to evolve in that. Everybody can't have 9 players to do a job once in a while. They need to have access to this talent, this pool of engineering resources for the time they need it and pay for it, and then back away from it and go about their business again until they need it again. So we're going to see a lot more of that kind of a professional exchange going on in our industry.
I agree, Kenny. Agreed. So good stuff there. All right, buddy. Well, what was up next on the docket?
Well, we'll change strides here and go into a product release. WattStopper Digital Lighting Management product launch. WattStopper, they were on a roll there for a while. They were bought by Legrand, and they're very well recognized. And I've sold a lot of WattStopper. They do great occupancy stuff. They do great panel stuff for lights. But they kind of reconfigured their business model, and they bought what was it, AIC?
Yeah,
Brian Pikes, and then so they wanted to get into the wireless for inside and outside the building, and they were very active there for a while, and then they kind of I think regrouped. But now, based on simplicity, flexibility, scalability, WattStopper's digital lighting management, or DLM, platform continues to revolutionize lighting control projects across North America. And what they've introduced here is the availability of new DLM fixture integrated controls, products that add granularity to their already proven suite of room and area controllers. The new solution gives your customers complete flexibility to reconfigure the controls without any rewiring should the needs or layout of the space change. So this is pretty neat stuff, and I could read the rest of the post, but I highly invite everybody to go to ControlTrends and read about this new LMFC-011 dimming fixtures with 0 to 10 VDC light ballasts, drivers, and the nice thing about all this is it's very networkable. So we're bringing the silo, the lighting silo now is fully integrated into the building, either BAS or BMS, prefer. But
so Kenny, is this primarily for the energy light harvesting? Is that what this is really sort of geared up for, or just lighting dimming in general? I'm sure it could be used both.
Right. I mean, lighting harvesting is just another sensor. That you're just reading what your lumens are in the room at any given time.
Yeah.
I think,
and then sort of like demand shedding or whatever. But we got some great options now because the other one we got is Bill Duckelberger with Blue Ridge Lighting. He's great.
Sure do.
And of course Mike Salvador, Dolly Welch over in England with the Dolly things. But Rob, Blue Ridge is really strong too. I mean, between Blue Ridge and you got 2 great choices there. But Bill Duckelberger used to be with ALC, so I think a lot of our guys really lean that way as well too, don't they?
I've been trying to preach it. Lighting control is where it's at. There's a huge need for it, and there's not a lot of folks embracing it. And I feel like if you can get in there, learn it, understand it, it seems pretty simple. It's just a lot of relays and scheduling and that kind of stuff. Can I talk for a minute about a project we just did?
Yeah.
And it was actually with a WattStopper product. It was a WTB 900, I believe. And we had a community complex. They had youth baseball, soccer, softball fields, aquatic center, all this kind of stuff. And so they had all these stadium lights. And so what they would do when they first did it is the game started at 6 o'clock and they'd go turn the lights on and they'd let them run all night long until 7 a.m. when the maintenance guy got there and then turn the lights off. So somebody had this brilliant plan that they were going to go and hire this guy and pay him overtime to be on call until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then they'd go and they'd shut the lights off. We're paying the guy overtime and whatever else. They saved a ton of money. I'm sure that guy got a huge raise. It was the greatest idea in the world. And we were thinking, oh my gosh, I just can't believe that that's like, your solution. And so we went up and sold them on the idea of using these wireless antennas that WattStopper makes and set them up. And this actually, the sports complex it's on two sides of the road, not across the street from each other, probably a good quarter of a mile away. We set up about 8 different radios, had them all talking to each other, wrote the schedule, pulled it right into the HVAC. They could sit there and look at graphics on the page, see what lights were on, which lights were off, if it was on scheduled, not scheduled, et cetera, et cetera. The payback was like 2 months.
Awesome. So that was that like that bullet controller that Brian Pike
similar to the bullet?
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, talk about giving a whole new meaning to Friday night lights, right? I mean, this is high school football is getting ready to start, and boy, I bet there are so many people. So if you are a school board and you got a county school system and you got, think of the Fulton County, DeKalb County, Clayton County, all the stadiums they have every Friday night and probably doing that same thing.
That's a great project, Robin. We had we didn't use the wireless version, but another thing you can do now too is that these high school stadiums, they rent themselves out for like playoff games, like regionally, like here it's the WPIL. So this high school here is not in the playoffs, but they have a great facility. They are the neutral field where people play at. And then we had like professional soccer games come in, and we had actually music. People promoted a band at the thing. It was for the youth, but they had a problem charging tenants or the tenant billing for the electricity used there. So we heard about they had a problem, but you could do metering in the same fashion too. So anytime those lights are on, and you can actually now generate charges. You can actually bill your utilities based on the usage, for your non-community events. So that you couldn't do that easily before, but now you can. So you could add wireless. You could add wireless meters now to the same thing. So if they host some kind of an event and they want to know how much it's costing them to do that because it's a billable event, you can just do the same thing. Just add some wireless meters there. Very, very cool stuff. All right, Kenny Smarts, what do we have up next, buddy? Well, this one's we're doing a lot of events, Eric. There's a lot of shows coming up, one after another, and they're all really great shows. This one's the second annual demand response. ADR is the automated demand response. So this is a demand response for a World Forum. So it's called the Annual Demand Response World Forum 2015, and it's in United States. It's in Costa Mesa, California, and this really surprised me. How what we're doing here in Pittsburgh, you're doing down in Atlanta, and they're doing out in San Diego, and we're all involved in the maximizing energy efficiency, controlling loads, and integrate distributed energy resources. So imagine if you apply that to a region, the southeast part of America or North America to include Canada. Well, now you're talking about the world. So they go out there and they do all their networking. They do exchanging of information. Again, we talk about the collaboration. Well, here's collaboration on a monumental level because they go right into it. Just like we talk about our collaboration with Project Haystack, for instance, they talk about their technologies, the innovations, the business leaders around the world will discuss how to enable an integrated and flexible network that is responsive to a wide range of distributed energy resources, marketplace entities, and customer energy demands. And I think going back to ADR, we can't build any more power plants, or we're not going to. Certainly the type of fossil fuel or the nuclear, power plants, everybody's concerned about how to do it, but the reality is that we probably have enough plants already. It's to make them more efficient and make the grid more efficient. So you have two major thrusts. You have the automated demand response thrust, and then you have the smart grid thrust. And those are two top trends that we've been on top of for 2 years now, Eric. And I'll tell you what, now we're seeing some of these people that we've bumped into along the way are coming into these gigantic forums and making, I think everybody sharing those informations and those resources make it all happen a lot faster. So the gentleman from your neck of the woods from Atlanta, Malmy, he was with a consultant group. He's one of the speakers. Nice.
Yeah, Russ Malmy. Yeah, he was, cool stuff, Kenny. All right, Big Dog. Appreciate you keeping up to date on the events. What do we have up next?
Well, this one here is going to be kind of touch and go one because I love to know more about things, but there's things that now, Eric, that we have made our association and affiliations with people who are cybersecurity experts, and Fred Gordy and Mark Peacock, quite honestly, have led the way, at least in my own edification and awareness. So what happened was we now see that there's certain vulnerabilities that we have, and we have to deal with them. And one of them is our communication protocol called BACnet. And I, quite frankly, never knew, it was like, I had a rough awareness of what BACnet was. To me, it's basically send and receive. You're basically sending packets, receiving packets, and processing the information, get everybody on the same sheet of music. Everything means the same to everybody. You take all the proprietary aspects out of it, all the gotchas, and you just put the information out there, make it straightforward so that everybody can make BACnet products and be able to talk to each other. So it's a wonderful world, but it's like some of our political dreams where it would work perfect in storybooks and on paper, but in reality it won't work. Well, BACnet was probably processed without any really serious regard for security. So we now are learning that at the ShmooCon, a guy named Brad Bowers, who actually is an executive for one of the top software companies in the world, and his job is to protect them. And he's like I'd say a combination white hat, red hat. But he puts together a video on attacking the BACnet framework, and it is just unbelievably enlightening. So what it does is, we say here, exploits the physical world with BACnet and brings to light the vulnerabilities of one of the most standard communication protocols used in the operational technology side of HVAC and building automation. And then, of course, we segue right into, we got a problem and we offer a solution. The problem is that we don't realize how vulnerable we are, and now that we've got everybody's attention, what are we going to do about it? Well, there's a great cybersecurity summit for operational technology, buildings and facilities planned for March 21st in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia Tech Research Institute. But what happens with this BACnet thing is that they have the ability to identify, discover, and search BACnet controllers on a network, and it sniffs out and collects all the BACnet packets. It filters the noise out, so it gets down to meat and potatoes. These packets say the bad guys they inject naughty tools. Using naughty tools, they inject. I am a packet. I am router. Yeah, I am a packet. It says I am device, and I am a BACnet entity, and I am a BACnet router too. I have a high priority message, and basically what they do is they take control of the network, and they completely spoof the operators and the monitors.
You brought this up, so I got to interject because when you mentioned naughty packets, it really got my attention. So
I didn't say naughty girls. I said naughty
naughty packets. No, but Kenny, you're so right. I mean, so the deal is, I think what they're saying is BACnet is a great protocol. This guy came up with something called Python or something like that, but. So you start looking at sort of how they would use this, and he gave 3 Mile Island as an example. You guys got to watch this video because I'm not professing to be an expert at all. This is coming from what this guy said. So if he wasn't accurate, then let us know. But so for example, 3 Mile Island, they went in, they go in and they tell that sensor they have erroneous sensor data, right? So then the operators are looking at this and they're going, okay. We need to take these steps based on this sensor data we're getting. Okay, so this is an example of how somebody could maybe come in and wreak havoc with why it's so important to protect your BACnet devices. So he has this Python thing, and like one of the modules is called I am router. So essentially, it goes on. It tells all the controllers, "Hey, I'm your new router." It sends all the data backwards and forwards. So. It would allow somebody to use a BACnet controller to control temperatures or humidities or whatever. I mean, elevators, he mentioned that a couple of times. I would hope that at this juncture, nobody would have a BACnet controller controlling an elevator because you could lock somebody in an elevator, whatever. So, Kenny, I think the thing is very, very concerning. I mean, it's serious. Hopefully this video will get people's attention. But like you said, we have a solution. Fred Gordy, Mark Peacock, and put something together, this incredible cybersecurity conference in Atlanta that's just really dealing with just the building automation control aspect of it, because cybersecurity in and of itself is such a big field. So, Ken, say more about the.
Well, you're so right. I mean, first of all, it's going to be the issue we have being such a large field. Cybersecurity is just all inclusive. But we're talking about operational technology. We're talking about isolating what we do in the building controls world, in the building management, building automation world. So what's happening is you have IT and OT. And IT, we're understanding, is more your data processing, your numbers, your financials, your customer databases, things that are kind of static in nature, the data. Where operational technology are things that face the internet, and they have control over equipment. So they're reading inputs, outputs, they're doing control loops, temperature loops, humidity loops, start, stop, and all these actual components that operate equipment. So the scare now, taking the BACnet routers and spoofing these things so that the guy's looking at his monitor and everything's green, but meanwhile back at the controller level, there's motors that are going on high temperature and should be sounding alarms and shutting down, and they're being overridden, and they've demonstrated they can do this. Now, this guy here is a professional red hat, white hat, but he does work for a major, one of the biggest router manufacturers in the world. I don't want to say it because I don't want this guy getting mad at me. But he builds attack units that go in and they evaluate and assess risk and vulnerabilities by connecting to the networks, and it immediately goes out. He actually puts on his website that if you're interested, he'll give you the software. It says the code's available on digitalintercept.com. He actually gives the tools away for other people to do this on their own levels. And I think that's where we're finally coming. That's where we finally graduate from second grade, third grade, fourth grade. We're almost ready to get out of high school or enter high school into this understanding world of hacking. There's guys out there that are so good that they design hacking tools. They use serial ports with universal asynchronous receiver transmitters. They use the SMD-MC. They modify storage system information to access operating systems, and then they connect using injection bugs. So we're finally starting to get enough intelligence and awareness about it that we can actually learn some of the jargon so that we can understand it. But we can't do that for the whole world. We can only do that for our building automation industries, our HVAC, protect our networks the best we can. And BACnet has a lot of exposures that we all should be aware of and learn how to protect them, close them down.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. And I think there's a date selected. March
21st through the 23rd at the Georgia Tech Research Institute, the GTRI. You can hear a lot more about that. In fact, Atlanta seems to be turning into the next Silicon Valley when it comes to this type of technology, this cyber technology. I mean, everything's happening around Atlanta, so we might as well just de facto declare it the capital of cyber security and cyber terrorism, because they've got the government researchers down there, they've got the military, they've got these universities. Georgia Tech, I was on their website. It's amazing how potent this is. Now, what they're offering at this particular seminar is the opportunity to come in and see things get hacked, see controllers get hacked, understand how they perpetrate the actual, where they invade your network and how they do that, so that once you know that, you can go back at home base and square things away. So it's designed not just for your high techies and the geeks. This is for guys that are the facility managers, the building owners, the systems integrators, people like you and I, distributors, people that need to really take the basic course on what we're dealing with, and then the whole healthy process begins.
Well, I tell you, we're going to have a lot more on that to follow, but mark your calendar again. Kenny, what were those dates one more time?
March 21st through the 23rd, 2016, Atlanta at the Georgia Tech Research Institute. We'll have there's going to be more information. I think there's going to be a website built where you can actually go on and register, and it'll all be automated through some event.
And I know ControlTrends is a media sponsor for this, so there are media sponsors opportunities. There are also regular sponsor opportunities, which as soon as we get hold of Fred and Mark, we'll find out more about those opportunities as well. But definitely mark the calendar. It's going to be a big time. I think it's going to be, the way they're talking about setting this up, Kenny, it's going to be just what you need as a building automation control specialist to sort of understand how to protect yourself. So it's going to be good stuff, buddy.
You know, just adding real quick to that, you know, obviously super smart people we know down in Georgia Tech, so I'm really excited about this. But, you know, with the hacking thing, it seems like we got a lot of folks saying, I can hack this, I can hack that. You know, I don't know why the message isn't more well received. I don't know why there's not more integrators buying into going out to offer this product. I don't know why there's not more building owners requesting and making sure, because, you know, everything is hackable. I think we've confirmed that. So it's not just BACnet or whatever else. I mean, the only thing I don't hear about ever getting hacked is people jumping into people's bank account, but maybe I'm just naive.
Well, you know, but it's funny because Fred Gordy is saying that now this is the really savvy building owners now. I mean, there's all kinds of documents if you're an automation control specialist that you have to sign off on, and that's part of what needs to be understood if you're a building automation control contractor is your possible liability in this. So I think this is a lot of what's going to be covered at this thing.
So they're pushing the building owners are pushing liability off on the integrators. What you're saying?
Yeah. So Fred Gordy, for example, talked about, you know, going in when he was at McKinney's and huge documents that had to be signed up for. You actually have to have a cybersecurity plan at your place where your people are having their laptops checked X percentage of the time and stuff like that, and it's huge because the liabilities are phenomenal. So
you think if we just asked nicely for everyone to quit hacking, that would solve everything? Like, yeah, guys, could you just quit hacking? I mean, that'd be great.
We just all get along.
Yeah, come on. But obviously, you know, we've got a product out there that takes care of this and takes the liability off of you, and so I want people to start embracing that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's guys, we're looking at an industry where everybody, see, that's another misconception that human patching, there's a $30 billion industry for antivirus software that's being sold at a higher rate than ever because everybody thinks that fixes cybersecurity. And see, that's the incredible, you know, management of understanding that has to be done through that human patching. It's actually more along the lines of password protection, real basic physical security aspects. Employee management, you know, when somebody, you know, you have to do some sort of auditing of who's working for you and what they do on your networks. It has to be done through a program. So we don't see the budgets. Nobody's taking it serious. There's been no budget allocations. How much have you took a look at somebody's income statement or balance sheet? Do you see, you know, what this is your cost for building insurance? This is what you pay for your life insurance for your CEOs and everything. This is the insurance you pay for your cars. This is the insurance you pay for hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, you know, hail. There's no cybersecurity insurance, and they're saying that you've got to start doing it. So we mentioned liability, risk, vulnerability. Well, now that's all being driven by the insurance companies. They may pay for one event, but they're not going to pay for the second. It's almost like security. You know, if you put up a camera and you put up some access control, it better be to a certain level that if you just, you know, you put it this like a deceptive measure where you're putting up fake cameras and, you know, putting up the auspices of security, but they're not really being security, physical security measures, they're the simulation of it. You're seeing a lot of that kind of stuff, kind of, you know, the posturing versus actually engagement. So you have to start talking about the after event plans. So a cybersecurity plan includes, let's prevent it from happening. If it does happen, here's our first notifications. Here's who we involve. Do we involve the U.S. CERT team? Do we involve the local police? So, you know, nobody knows what to do after it happens. And how do you restore business, and how do you protect your brand? Who makes the first statement of how it happened? Who knows what not to say in the event you're being interviewed by CBS News about, you know, you just gave away 200 million records, you know? So, and then the division of records, what's valuable and not valuable. We read last week on one of the thing, a medical record's worth $50 on the black market, and a credit card's worth $1, because the medical record can be engineered, socially engineered to create larger paydays. So it's just it's a mess, and quite frankly,
it's a mess.
Quite frankly, it's depressing. But you know, that's why, because when something is too overwhelming, human nature tends to ignore it.
I think you bring up a great point. It's easy to ignore and just assume that somebody's got your back. I'm guilty of that. I just assume, my router's protected. No one's going to hop on my Wi-Fi. Why would they want to? What do I have? So it's good stuff.
All right, Kenny Spires.
Well, let me just say this. I read Future Crime. Can't say it enough. I can't get through this book quick because it's not a novel. This is like a textbook about details, facts, and everything's been vetted, everything's been researched. This guy, Mark Goodman, is a prophet, and they were talking about like even the phone systems, the smartphone systems, the Android versus Apple. Say what you want about Apple, but Apple does a lot more scrutiny of their OS and the apps that come on an Apple phone versus the Android. And he was saying there's actually, I don't want to go into it because, again, this isn't this is not what we're doing. We're just making people aware, but one really and truly makes it hard to take advantage of the iPhone vulnerabilities. The iPhone now is the most vulnerable device in the world. And apps that you load onto your phone, every one of them has retrieval information, archival information. It's creating more data to the internet. The people that have these smart devices are they're not the customers. We're not iPhone customers. We are not iPhone customers. We are the product. We're data that people are selling, whether it's your local grocery store, your insurance companies. Now, Google's going to get into insurance. They're going to become insurance brokers, and they're going to know more about you and how much you're worth and how much you're going to cost as insurance because they got your whole life mapped out. They know when you wake up, when you go to bed. They know what your mortgage payments are. They know where you go to vacation. They know what bar you drink at, what restaurants you eat at. They know what products you buy at the store. So they can say, you know what? You used to pay $1,000 a year for insurance, but you're such a high risk, you're going to pay $3,000. This is the kind of stuff this guy in Future Crimes, as Mark Goodman saying, watch out. It's happening right in front of your eyes, and you're feeding more information every day. We're making it accelerating the whole process. We're not retarding the process, we're accelerating the process. So that's the spooky stuff that we need to think about.
You call me a data point, Kenny?
Yes.
It is spooky stuff, buddy. Well, listen.
All right.
Let's rock and roll romance.
Well, hey, I wanted to make Brad Farron was the guy we were thinking about, the real
comment. Yeah, Brad Farron, that's right, yep.
And the other guy, Russ Malmy, he was with Skipping Stone Consultants.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pull his names out.
Yeah, we met him at the first Haystack meeting. Yep.
Right, but he's a consultant, and he'll tell you how to get involved in the international markets and business opportunities for demand response and smart grid. Ron Malmy, partner at Skipping Stone.
Perfect, buddy. All right, man. You need a breather? Rob, pick it up. Kenny needs to catch his breath real quick.
The myth. Oh, no. That's not how you want me. Sorry.
What do we have up next, big dog?
Okay, it's again, this is kind of a dry one. It's one that is my favorites, is to keep track of where the money's going. The U.S. Department of Energy has what they call the Better Buildings Bulletin. And this got hit pretty good on ControlTrends, and I'm happy to see it. I don't know, we don't have a direct eye on where things are going, who's interested, but the Better Buildings Bulletin is a monthly feature to keep you up to date on partner successes, program updates, and opportunities to participate and more. And they have a Better Buildings Summit where over 200 speakers presented their solutions. These presentations are all available on the Solution Center. So you can really learn about what's going on with your buildings. You can learn the tricks of the trade based on the technology recommendations. If you're located in a certain part of the country, these are the things that you want to focus on. They include financing, high-impact technologies, and data-driven results. So this is a great link for resources. Don't say that you didn't have knowledge of how to improve your enterprise or how to improve your business, because it's there and it's free. So come to ControlTrends, hit our hot buttons, and go get it.
Go get it, buddy. Hey, speaking of that, Atlanta has a Atlanta Better Buildings Challenge. It's been going on for a while, and it's huge. So the mayor and all is behind it, and it's basically they want the energy reduced by 20-30%. They're actually passing laws or trying to pass laws where you have to actually share your energy savings. Where you have to make that public knowledge or whatever to make sure you're behind it. But anyway, they're having their big conference, Kenny, here at the end of the month, and I am going to be one of the speakers there. And it's
nice.
Interesting. So they gave me $1,000 you could be a speaker too, but
oh, you paid, you didn't receive.
But it's kind of interesting. So here's the format they're using. It gets back to that presentation Zen. So you can use a maximum of 20 slides. You have 6 minutes to get your message across. So I'm working on that presentation right after we get done with this. But 6 minutes. So But it'd be interesting. So hopefully, again, same sort of thing, bringing awareness. People are going to be bringing their solutions and presenting them to the people that can make decisions.
Nice. I'm proud of you, Eric. But you know what? It's no surprise to me that you're invited to go. The work you do and the information you have and the resources that you have at your disposal and the actual engagement in the industry, your profession. I think we're actually seeing this become, important, vital information. This has value to it, and because we're interloculating, we're doing all the homework and research, finding out what's going on, what the trends are, and then to bring somebody in that can give you a 6-minute presentation on summarizing that whole nebulous environment is worth its weight in gold, I think.
Well, they weren't interested. Even though I was giving them $1,000 for the 6 minutes, they weren't really interested until I mentioned that I knew you. I said, I knew the man, the myth, the legend. Kenny Smyers, you're in. So.
Please. But no, I really think it's happening. I think back when you were talking about what Control Trends was all about, it was the ability to be the pivot point for the industry, to be the magnet, to be to create the critical mass where people could come and learn and see and get through it and then go to where they want to go, kind of redirect things. But I could tell by the traffic going over 1 million viewers, it's the concept has taken definite shape and can get guys like Rob Allen involved and get this thing bigger. We'll get a wider platform to be able to handle more bandwidth. Right now it's guys.
It's really good stuff. And Rob, by the way, I think you got we had all the people well wishing us over the 1 million viewers. I'm still looking for that video where you put that highlight reel together for us. So, all
right, I'll put that together, but I'm not going to be able to sell anything for like a week.
Rob has become quite the video editor as well, which is really, really a cool thing. So Kenny, sort of speaking of cool things and innovative, I mean, we've mentioned Siemens quite a bit on the show, and they are really taking some innovative approaches to some things, and they sort of reached out to us, and between us, Siemens, and Controls Group North America, we're coming up with a pretty interesting promotion that's coming up. More details to follow, but let's give them sort of a little bit of the backstory. It's going to be around the RDY thermostat, which is a really cool stat. You kind of dubbed it the Uber stat, among other things, because it does so much. Speak a bit about the stat first, and let's talk a little bit, tease out the promotion a little bit, what's going to be coming down the pike.
Right, Eric. Well, I got involved in this thing directly from a customer inquiry. I had to go through kind of like about a 15 thermostat evaluation. And thermostat, is the word that best summarizes it. But you talk about room controller, you talk about comfort center. There's different ways to do it. But basically, we're talking about handling 1 or 2 stages of heat, 1 or 2 stages of cooling. We're talking about heat pump applications. We're talking about humidification. We're talking about dehumidification. We're talking about economizer. We're talking about occupancy. To know if somebody's in or out of the room. So what happens is, and then you got the CO2 now. I mean, so one little thermostat, used to be called a thermostat, has become an incredible, compact, pretty
system,
easy to use system controller, right? So we had to go through. I mean, this guy, he knew about Nest, he knew about Ecobee, he knew about Enerstat, he knew about every thermostat out there because he's a builder, and cheap was not in his vocabulary. He knew that anything, you get what you pay for, anything that's plus or minus 4 degrees, control, it's just not worth putting on there. He is in kind of the high rent markets. He invests a lot of money in his facilities, and what kills him is moisture. What kills him is mold on these high, beautiful A-frame ceilings. And so he's looking for people to find solutions. And he was actually at the HR show. This actually came out of the HR show. A guy from Pennsylvania went there, and he went to every manufacturer, and he wanted to find the best thermostat for his application. And that's when I realized how much I knew and didn't know about thermostats, and how very few of them have everything on board. Like, how many thermostats have a humidity sensor on board? Well, it came down to 1. How many thermostats could do 3 stages of heating, 3 stages of cooling, could do a CO2 input, could control 2 compressors, had 2 stages of auxiliary emergency heat, and it come down to 1, and that was the RDY 2000. So by default, it was the thermostat that we produced a model, or not just, we just didn't quote on it. We're talking about how to do it, because it's hundreds of thermostats are involved. So that's one aspect of it. And then So the thermostat
is also hack free. I mean, you don't have to worry about anybody hacking into the thermostat because it's not online yet. So it's a standalone at this particular stage. I think they'll add the BACnet later. But so Kenny, needless to say, very well engineered thermostat. So Siemens, let's get to the marketing side of it now because, Josh Felburn is moved up the ladder at Siemens and is working a lot with, and you know him, Rob. Josh is a great guy.
Ace Felburn.
Yeah, so Rob saw him get his hole in one, I think. But
nice.
But so we got with Josh. We wanted to create something to be very interesting for the community. And Controls Group North America, Kenny's company, DMS Controls Group, and Stromquist Company are members of this. Is 40 of the top distributors in North America, everything from the U.S. to Canada. And so the promotion, and we'll give you the specifics, but the promotions are basically going to be that you can get, you come in and you buy a thermostat from a CGNA member, a Siemens thermostat, you'll get a gift card right there on the spot. They're also putting together kits, so you get more of a gift card, and we'll announce the exact numbers, but it's enough to get your attention.
Sure.
So it's going to probably run for about 2 months. Now, here's the cool part, and here's using the social media part. And again, we'll go through these details later, but I want you guys to be, and girls to be thinking about it. So if you buy one of these packages or one of these thermostats, you install it, take your smartphone, you make a video, either of the installation or your customer's reaction to this thermostat. You send it to ControlTrends. We'll post it on ControlTrends, and then at the end of the designated period, which will be a couple of months, the winner will get a super duper prize.
$1 million.
Yeah, maybe 1 million viewers or $1 million from Siemens. So that's coming down the pike, Kenny. So again, congratulations to Josh and the team at Siemens. If you haven't checked out what those guys are offering through distribution lately, go into your local distributor, preferably CGNA, and say, hey, what's Siemens selling through you guys these days? Because they're bringing a lot of products through the distribution channel now.
Well, you brought three things that I think are important to realize. Number one is that the thermostat is the most, probably the most lucrative market in the residential, commercial, and light commercial markets. The RDY 2000, I call it the Ready Stat, and the Uber Stat. We thought that was a cute play on German engineering and the concept of Uber. Everybody knows that Uber means over in German, and so the fact that this thing's going to become networkable probably in first quarter 2016 makes it even a more interesting thermostat, because now many of our sales are standalone. People don't really have a need to do if it works well by itself and it's reliable and it's easy to use and their tenants are happy. That's all they want. The more commercial applications or the more multi-locations and distributed environments, then they want connectivity. They want to be able to change all the thermostats in one stroke. Somebody at the home base says, okay, we changed time zones or changed, we're daylight savings or whatever. That used to be a problem. Now it's either on board through the technology, or we can remote access it and change everything from home base. Now, so that makes that an interesting thermostat. But Siemens, I think, has got a whole new guys like Josh, Bob Byron, the tall guy that played basketball at Syracuse,
Paul Gilvitas.
These guys they're launching new ideas and new marketing. So what's happening is you're seeing Siemens show a softer side. I like to say the softer side of Siemens, because at one time Siemens was a formidable competitor, and other than access to their commercial components or valves, actuators, and stuff like that, you really didn't have an opportunity to sell Siemens. Now there's a lot of there's a departure from that monolithic approach.
Yeah, and I think what Kenny's referring to is the fact that Siemens was pretty much direct. There's certain controls people that just go direct. They you only have one source to buy your product from. And I think those days are gone. I mean, Honeywell and Johnson all started out that way, and what they're finding is by going through distribution, it creates more choices for their customers. So again, Siemens is bringing more and more products through distribution. And Kenny, I got to ask you and Rob this. Now, Rob, you're a pretty savvy guy. Did you guys see that Uber and Tinder merged?
No.
You can hook up in your Uber now? Is that what that?
Yeah, no. Well, so Tinder's a site that I've never been on it, but the site that people just basically post their pictures. If you like them, you swipe left, or whatever. No, it's a video. We'll put a link to it. I saw it this morning. I'm surprised you didn't see it. It's a YouTube video. It's one of the fastest trending YouTube videos. It's kind of a spoof on what would happen if Uber and Tinder merged.
So basically, we've got self-driving Ubers and hookups with Tinder.
No, we'll put a link to the video. It's pretty funny. So, but hey, if you're easy,
wait, Eric, did the Hootsuite just merged with Instagram? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't do that. I use Hootsuite, so that's interesting.
That came out this morning. I saw it in my email that Hootsuite announced that they now have they merged with Instagram.
Yeah.
What is the impact of that? What does that mean?
Well, I don't know. I'm still on Tinder, and I'm worse than Tinder. And
It's time to change the subject, I thought.
No, dude. Well, listen, this is a funny video. I'll send you the link you put in the show. So, Rob, I can't believe you hadn't seen this video, man. You're supposed to be my social media guy, juggernaut, right?
You made me watch that Apple Watch video, and I still can't get over that thing.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Kenny, and we can't put this up, but there was an Apple Watch video. Rob, tell me about that. I guarantee you, I was going to buy an Apple Watch, and then I saw this video. I go, there's no way I could ever own an Apple Watch with that.
You can't really summarize that thing. You got to watch it. It's awesome.
Well, you got to watch it, but it's the power of social media. I mean, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I was going to get one, right? I saw that video. There's no way in the world I could ever buy one, and I think this thing's got like 3 million views already. So, if I'm Apple, I'm paying those people whatever it costs to take that video off. But
now, Eric, what did you get Anna for her birthday? Since you brought it up again.
Oh, what did I get Anna? Oh, you know what?
I remember.
If you don't want to say, don't. But last show you were saying about I suggested jewelry, but you said that wasn't.
No, it was red. It was yellow. It was a hue, right?
No.
Hue light.
No, I got that for Valentine's Day too. But no, actually, what I did, I got out pretty easily. So, believe it or not, I brought her breakfast in bed. I took both kids away so she could sleep late on her birthday. And then
nice.
Anna's been working out. She just had the baby, so she's really working out. So what she wanted, she says, look, when a couple months from now, when I'm done working out, when I'm ready, I just like to get some additional clothes. So I've got that. So actually, she said it was the best birthday ever. And I just basically gave both kids a couple of Valium and put them to sleep. And no, I did not. I was of course teasing.
A little bit of NyQuil.
But the social media thing, we're kind of tongue in cheek about the Apple video and about the Uber and the tender thing. I mean, the social media thing is it. And I know Scotty Cochran, with Cochran Supply, put together a kind of a video that they did. We posted on ControlTrends.
Support.
About their support that they showed at the Scotty Cochran Summit. So I think more and more people are getting into that. And hey, if you got some stuff and you're trying to get in social media, you want to get your stuff out, send it to Kenny and me. We'll post it on ControlTrends. And if you got good stuff, we want to make sure our audience sees it.
All right, to kind of wrap up the Siemens thing, look forward to some packages coming out that are going to include the RDMI thermostat, outdoor air temperature sensors, duct temperature sensors, CO2 sensors. They're going to have room temperature, RH, and CO2 sensors all tied into the RDY, all the way up to there's 4 packages, and it just gives you the combinations. But the occupancy one was the other one I couldn't think of. But what you'll be able to do is then, as customers and distributors, you'll be able to reuse them. They'll come in their own packaging. So if one project you buy a kit and you don't use all the components, then you can put them on the shelf and resell them. So that's a very important thing. Some other people have tried this sort of thing in the past and used bulk packaging, and that's a mess. Because then if something comes without a box and instructions, people think that that might not be quite new.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys are interested in the Apple video, Rob, what's your Twitter handle?
At StromRob.
At StromRob. At StromRob. Hit Rob up on Twitter. He'll send you a link to it. Again, the Apple thing is incendiary enough that unless you ask for it, we're not going to send it to you. But I think we can put a link to the Uber tender thing. I think that's a good one. So listen, Kenny, we loving the dialogue here. What will we have up next? We're getting close to the end, right?
Well, EasyIO Global Conference Paris Update 2015.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to Paris.
Well, no, Rob, you're going out to Honeywell Way out there at the Momentum.
Yeah, Rob's covering Momentum as for ControlTrends, and to our friends at Honeywell, hey, we made this commitment to Mike Marston and the folks at EasyIO, so we keep our commitments there. But Rob's going to be covering it for ControlTrends and for Stromquist, and we're bringing a bunch of people out to the Momentum one. But Paris, Kenny and I'll be at the EasyIO event. That's going to be rock and roll. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Big Poppy, Ted Houck. He might be going to Paris too. So Mike Marston, we may be bringing Big Poppy your way. Little Poppy's going to the Honeywell one, I think. So that's Jason, but.
Awesome. Well, a very, very serious note. EasyIO has really invested heavily here recently. They hired a sales manager for India. They have a new product manager, Glenn, for North America. Actually, he's worldwide. And they've come up with 5 or 6 applications here. The Chiller app, the AHU app, now their lead lag app, and that's why I really know how much I can contribute, because these engineers are so dang smart. I thought I was doing a good job of providing input, and I got some of your guys involved, Eric Chuck and Mike, I think, because what they're trying to do now is we talk about ecosystems, and the really way to grow product and the business around a product is to have people committed to the product's applications and new ideas. So we've got Aon applications now. We're out of the box. You can buy it and put this in, and it'll do anything on any Aon unit. Well, maybe not any. There's one or two that I guess it does. It's because you have obviously migration issues with the new equipment and old equipment, but the new stuff's coming out with EasyIO controllers on them, and it's got some neat software already. The embedded application takes all the work off of the installer's shoulders, and the systems integrator likes to see somebody do a good job in their in the advanced work, and now they come down and just tweak it for the local applications. Glenn Simpson's the guy's name. But what's going to happen is the EasyIO update in Paris is going to have all these more applications, not just from North America, but from around the world. So the Germans like to do things this way, French, English. So you have all these applications, Australia, India. They're going to share this information. So you talk about being able to get some interesting applications and engineering solutions. Also the sponsorships, you have Belimo, J2 Innovations, IntelliStar, Sky Foundry, Nodon are also going to be sponsors. So when you see that kind of interest from those vendors, manufacturing providers, you know that's going to be a well of a show.
Well, I tell you what, though, Kenny, the thing is, forget all that crap. I mean, that's all well and good, but you could do that on a Skype call. The reason you want to go to Paris is because Mike Marson and the team at EasyIO, you talk about knowing how to throw a great event. I mean, think about what we did last. If you have any questions about what this is going to be like, look at the video from last year when Kenny and I went to Madrid. I mean, they had the tour of the Real Madrid soccer stadium. I mean, the way they entertain you. And, I think these guys just do things top shelf. So,
well, I mean, you went to the itinerary. Just to give you a clue, Sunday night, we're going to start off with a boring event at the Hard Rock Cafe, which is never boring. I said that to be facetious. And when we have an affiliation with Hard Rock, our show is going to be at the Hard Rock Live down there in Orlando. We like Hard Rock. It's a great place. You got good, solid people, very professional. The next event's going to be at the conference, and it's going to be at the Mercure Hotel Paris. How they do their
listen to Frenchie, man. Listen to you.
You didn't want to tease me about it because I used to say all the hard concepts. It's hard to.
No, you know what? You know what I teased you about, Kenny, was when we stopped in Paris on the way to Madrid, and we got lost that night, man. Kenny goes, I know the way back to the hotel, and we would stop at a bar like we get burned out, but I mean we were literally 6 or 7 hours. We couldn't find our way back to the damn hotel, man. And every time you wanted to just stop in the middle of the glass of wine, and then you wanted to be the leader. So
follow me.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to say shit on here.
Long story short, we were doing a big circle, man, and it's like
It was a beautiful summer night, and and I'll tell you what, it was amazing because there was nothing boring about it. We'd see, we happened across a band playing a brass band playing pop music underneath. Yeah, that was incredible.
So listen, if you do go to the event, my advice to you is if Kenny wants to take you anywhere, don't go. I think Mad Mike and the rest of the team can probably get you where you want to go. But dude, this is going to be a happening. I told Big Poppy, I said, because I don't do a lot with EasyIO, I said, well, listen, you go to this event, you'll want to. And listen, on a serious note with EasyIO, because that controller has won the Building Automation Controller of the Year all 3 years of the ControlTrends Awards. I mean, it is a jam-packed controller, and these guys keep innovating and making it better and better. And, I think, Rob, the biggest challenge we have, I think, with that controller is that our contractors seem to have a hard time embracing where and how to use it. It's so flexible. It's almost like you have so many choices and such a powerhouse. So it's almost like if you had to give EasyIO any advice, what would it be?
Just figure out just that. Figure out what application it is. Educate us. Sit down and tell us. Say, here's where it works best. Here's where we're doing it. I was reading a ControlTrends post the other day. I guess he's tapped into the beer making industry, and he's using FGs for that. Actually, that application I talked about earlier with the lights and all that stuff, we were controlling those with FGs.
Nice.
We had one of those per radio.
Yeah, because one of the trends that Kenny and I talk a lot about is the race to the small space, meaning we got all those small buildings. I think the EasyIO controller really, really fits in with that. And so if you're an integrator out there, reach out to your local EasyIO distributor. Come to Paris or whatever. It's not a complete system. I don't think it's meant to be a complete system. It's meant to be a part of a big system. If you needed a plant controller or something, you can put that in a very cost-effective manner. And it's really, I think, Kenny, meant to be a standalone controller. It's got such power. Like you said, he's controlling a microbrewery with it.
Yeah,
the whole process.
It's scalable. It's got its own alarming, trending graphics web server. So it can
energy analytics now. But the most important thing about it is it has the latest. It's like the iPhone of controllers. It has the SD card. It has, and it's open source. In other words, the catch here is that the markets that we think we're really busy at, and we've got our own little turfdom, and we're protecting it, is in Mike Marston's opinion, wrong opinion. You need to engage more people and give them more tools so that in their truck they could have an FG32. They could walk into any building, within reason, and be able to control all the equipment within it from a box that is going to be less than $1,000. And it not only will control everything, give him the software tools are already there. The programming tools are in each controller, so there's no connecting to the internet. There's no wondering.
No licensing or anything like that, right? Yeah.
Right. So that solves. That's like 30% of the headaches. The second thing is that if you do need web enabled, it's ready to go. It's not just ready to go. It's got the biggest features available at this time. Mike helped me out. He upgraded my SD card. I had 2 or 3 computers, and that's where you get a little sloppy. Like with all the other stuff, you got to make sure you're using the right. If you have a controller with this version, make sure you use your software with that version, because when you don't do that, you create a lot of headaches. But to make a long story short, the file transfers that they have and the ability to upgrade things over the internet is one of a kind. I've never seen anybody be able to do that well, that fast, and with that much certainty.
Well, the wrap on these guys too is fantastic customer support. I mean, SK Fu and some of the guys, Lim, are over in Asia, so a lot of times, man, you send an email out, you go to bed, next morning you wake up, there's your solution.
6 is on, yeah.
Oddly, sometimes he's responding back to you in the middle of the night, wherever he is.
Yeah. So it's good stuff. We love Mike Marston. Mike, where is our episode of Control Pub Talk, man?
I think he did it. He was in New York past week.
Okay, all right.
And
so he's got one he's going to be sending out.
He said he was actually in a pub and he was wondering how he's going to do it, but it was in progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if he could send. Speaking of which, we've got promises in from India. We've got Vinayak Sane is got one on the way. We've got some stuff coming from our friends in Mexico. We're hoping that they follow through, so that we can really truly take this thing to that international level, especially before we go on the road here. We're getting ready to start traveling a little bit, Eric, and there's a lot of events coming up, so we're hoping we can catch up with everybody. Yeah. And that brings us into our very last post.
Well, hold on. We got to talk about where I'm going. We didn't talk about where I'm going when you guys are running off to Paris.
I'm so sorry, Rob.
Where are you going, Rob?
I'm going to Palm Springs, sunny California for the Honeywell Momentum Show.
That'll be a great show.
I'm bringing Michael Bonner with me. I'm going to film him doing interviews. No, probably not. He's probably going to film me doing interviews.
You doing interviews, yeah.
And no, I'm looking forward to it. The good stuff. I understand they're going to unveil their LCBS application, so that's going to be really neat. We've actually had a couple sneak peeks, Eric, you and I don't know, Ken, if you've seen it or not, but sounds promising. And so hopefully that'll come out. And then, of course, Niagara 4 release. Super excited about that. And I even hear some things brewing on the horizon that there might be a new field controller at some point, further down the road. So maybe we'll get a little sneak peek of that too. So super excited. Honeywell always does a really good job. Just enough fun to keep it interesting, but I come back enlightened every single time that I go.
No, absolutely. Nice. And you and Mike are also going to cover the KMC conference.
Yep, absolutely.
A little bit farther down the road. And I don't know, Kenny and Link Springs got their conference, their partners meeting coming up too. So maybe Kenny and I'll make it out there with Mark Peacock and his crew. So a lot going on this fall. We'll keep you posted on ControlTrends with those. And Rob, really appreciate having you to be able to, that way we can cover the EasyIO conference, you can cover Honeywell Momentum, and we were even talking about maybe trying to do like a dual, like ControlTalk Now with you in the States and us in Paris, and where we can combine those together, which would be a really cool thing.
I think we should do it 6 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what it'll be.
I don't even know what time that's going to be in Paris. It probably won't matter.
9 hours, so 6, 9, oh dear.
Carry the 2.
Probably won't matter. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of sleeping going on in Paris.
We had 3 hours from California to the New York, so that would be 3, and then we have 6 or 5 or 6. I think Germany's 6 hours ahead, and France would be 5. So we would have 8 hours. So if it was 6 p.m., my gosh, it'd be 2 in the morning, Rob.
Awesome. I think that's a great idea.
So listen, our audience out there's got to love that, man. Watching Kenny Smyer's cipher on the fly, man. No editing there, man. That was real time. Good job, buddy.
I'm about 90% sure it's right too.
Well, good stuff.
What happens is there's time zones change just like they do here and there. My wife is German, and when we call, we have to always be cognizant of the time ahead or behind. So
yeah,
her mom
you do not want to wake a German up in the middle of the night.
I didn't know that. I didn't know your wife was German. I've never had the pleasure of meeting her. That's interesting. That's neat.
Yeah. Well, Rita Munkus. Yep. She's. We're getting ready to go there to a wedding. Her niece Ruth Schauman's getting married to Axel. And we're going to be there, and it's going to be very, very close to when we're there for the Paris event, Eric. So I'm probably just going to sit there a couple of days in Germany and wait for the wedding to come by. So looking forward to that.
Kenny Smyers, he really is the man, the myth, the legend.
He is one. He's the international man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah. But, okay, guys, $10. That's all I'm going to give you. No more.
You said 20.
But final thing, real quick, Kenny. Put a post up with our friend Ron Zimmer from CABA. CABA has come on as a media sponsor for the ControlTrends Award, so we really thank Ron for that. So, but Ron and CABA, I mean, they really are the place you can go get your data. They do a ton of research. They make that available. If you're in the building automation business, if you're in the smart buildings at all, and want to know what's what, great data reports you can get at a very reasonable price. Strongly suggest you guys check those guys out. CABA.org, CABA.org.
That's probably one of the best filmed episodes, videos that you've ever done.
Was Mike Bonner film that, or?
No. It was good. I thought the same thing too. The lighting was good. Ron does a great job. He's a very personable guy, and he behaves very well and correctly in front of a camera. He knows how to speak for effect. You did a great job too, going through the book there. But what was that? See, to me, that's very important. And they give there's certain information. If you become a member, you have free access to. And there's certain things they sell. They sell intelligence. Those guys collect information.
They're kind of like the CIA. They sell intelligence. I like that, man. The SIA, Selling Intelligence Agency. No, but in fairness, Kenny, there's so much you get free just by signing up with those guys. But I like the fact that the really detailed stuff they sell, because you only buy what you need. If you're not, so it's like some of these things you pay and you have access to everything, but you may not want everything.
Right.
So, all right. Well, Kenny Smyers, I tell you what, buddy. Anything else we want to hit on before we do our really cool outro?
Well, we have this special events calendar coming up, and that'll be updated this week, because some of the ones that we had posted, of course, have expired, and there's 2 or 3 new ones coming up, and we talked about a couple of them, but please visit the future events section, and you'll be able to see what we were able to round up and put into one post as far as all the big stuff. Link Spring, by the way, is we're definitely going to be there, right? We've got to see what they've got going on. That's going to be in October 26th through the 28th. That's going to be at the Argosy Hotel and Casino in Riverside, Missouri, right outside of Kansas City. And you talk about a growing event. Their platinum sponsors went from DG Logic, Tridium, Viconics, and now you've got Belimo, Connex Energy, KMC, Connect Air, Eagle Technology, J2 Innovations, M2M Systems Integrator, Sky Foundry, Yardi, Interalliance, and ACI of Functional Devices. So you talk about, that's like going to a mini AHR. That's a gigantic show now.
It's a great show. It doesn't surprise me. Mark Peacock, the Vice President of Marketing there, is one bright character, and obviously the host of the ControlTrends Awards. And Terry Swope is one of the coolest guys ever. He definitely gets the nod for coolest looking HVAC controls executive. And so I tell you what, with that, Kenny, let's call this a wrap. So this is ControlTalk Now, your Smart Buildings podcast and videocast for the week ending August 9th, 2015. You have been listening to the man, the myth, the legend, Kenny Smyers, and the one, the only 7 Minutes of Controls, Rob Allen. So it's been a privilege, guys. So hope everybody has a great week, and remember, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. All right, Rob done that. All right. I did it. You put the thumbs up, buddy. All right. With the man. So remember, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed.
Well, you know what?
He gave the gun, man.